Hi, I'm Glen from Primal Surfboards, North Shore of Auckland.
And I'm Steve, I'm shaper at Primal Surfboards, live out west. Yeah.
Okay, so New Zealand Surf Journal's asked us to have a chat and crystal ball gaze about what is happening in surfboard shaping and the future and how it looks. 3D printing is probably the most likely out of the technologies that are out there.
Yeah, I mean it's got the most sort of potential, I guess, or the way things are going. Even things like softboards and stuff, you know, like I mean, it's all pretty early days, but you know, this guy's even ripping on those.
And with crowded surf and things like that, there's, you know, that's probably just a niche in the market that's probably going to gain some traction, getting high performance softboard equipment. And places like Australia are already, you know, needing beaches that are just closed off to hard boards, and so the technology's put a jump forward a little bit in that respect. But you know, Australia now embracing epoxy technology and exotics and carbon, and you know, technically there's far better ways of building a surfboard than a PU core, you know, shaped and hand laminated. It's
like, you know, market size, nothing getting kind of built for specifically for the market. You know, we kind of getting, you know, just sort of general products and, you know, trying to make them work for surfboards.
Yeah, that's probably one thing it's possibly because it's so fractured, the market. There's no one's gone and specifically developed a technology to build a surfboard or a new material, or we're just relying on offshoots or products from other technologies or other industries like aerospace or even like 3D printing. That wasn't, you know, it wasn't developed. There's nothing specifically designed for surfboard construction, and I think the cores, the foam cores, is probably one area that can be. There's potentially a huge quantum leap in that, making a light, strong, easy to construct and cheap to construct core that's going to work, because it's it is a tricky one. It's really critical, the foam core inside the board, getting it the right float, feel, flex patterns. And even though people go, well, you'll adapt, but you know, there's new generations of surfers will ride a different construction, but it still has to have a certain feel. We can't seem to get away from people, even though they've never surfed in their life, but they prefer a PU core board, even. So it's I think there's, but maybe the market is big enough for somebody, because it's I guess a generic item that will go into every surfboard. So to design and build a core that's you know, water resistant, light, strong, the right kind of flex patterns. That's there's a lot of potential there for, I guess, for a breakthrough.
Yeah, I mean, as well with like the good thing I see about like 3D printing is that, you know, we're not going to have to cut away anymore. You know, it's not that sort of subtractive manufacturing. You know, so there's not going to be kind of waste and
waste and efficiency and space,
and then that leads on to, you know, the whole digital side of things. You know, if things can all get you know, go straight from digital into manufacturing, it makes it all pretty exciting.
I think the market is going to change. I think technology is evolving fast enough now. In 5 years, I definitely see a different landscape on how we're buying our boards a little bit. I think, you know, obviously online and well, we know there's new technologies of being able to understand and develop your own equipment without having to specifically go and talk to a shaper, and you know, we've got a technology coming soon, and that you'll be able to understand and store and be able to probably not so much design, but more understand your own equipment and what works best, and how that looks, because the online marketplace will probably keep growing just like everywhere else, every other market. There's certainly going to be a lot of changes in that respect.
I mean, that whole sort of just-in-time manufacturing where, you know, like shapers can maybe send a file, you know, if it's all 3D printed or whatever, you know, send it to where you know, where the people are.
Yeah.
Um,
The idea of that, of building a board, or 3D printed, no waste, no space, no emissions, a recyclable product, that sort of thing. That's, I think surfers love the idea of it, but the fact that we're all riding plastic pieces of equipment that are completely disposable and end up in landfill, it's I think in principle surfers love the idea of green, but in practice we're pretty terrible at it. But
has to go good. It seems to be number one.
yeah, it has to go well at a good price. That is an overwhelming driver ahead of it being green. But it would be great. It would be great to have a technology where that factor's taken out of it. I think, even though, like I say, I don't think it really crosses the surfer's mind too much when they just got barreled, whether their board's green or not, or it's going to end up in a landfill. But it would be nice for that to come about.
Yeah.
That would be I think it would actually be a little bit of a breakthrough as well. I think surfers
Sure.
would embrace that idea if it was a really, truly green product.
Yeah, for sure.
There's, as far as the actual shapes and performance of surfboards, performance can probably improve maybe through technology and materials a little bit as well.
Totally.
And construction and I guess the longevity of a board, which again comes back to the green thing. If you're turning your board over every couple of years, people want to turn them over sooner, but it's still, if your board's lasting longer, it's less chance of it ending up in a landfill as well. But there's, I guess that technology around that's still going to improve. But as far as shape, design, performance, it's still just going to be variations on curves that we know. Like just that the retro thing is so strong now.
It's all getting integrated. Everything's kind of crossing over, and like bits of fishes are going into our short boards, and it's all such a anything goes.
Modern design. Yeah, there's definitely, even the retro boards, there's still the advantage of modern designers in them. The curves are cleaner and better, and they work well, they work better, and I guess with all the fat old buggers out there that are surfing that actually surf really well, I think that's come a long way, getting really high volume boards working well. I think that's been a challenge for shapers to get volume boards surfing in the pocket on rail well. Certainly board designs improved because of that, and there's been some big gains there, and learning quite a bit about how small wave boards ride, which is a lot of that idea and the thinking is transferred into high volume, wider, thicker, shorter boards, but riding well in small waves. There's definitely been a big gain in that. Like the thinking of just making them real flat and real wide and real thick isn't. It certainly turned out that it wasn't the answer to a small wave board. But I think going retro twin fins was also thrown up a big challenge, in getting a board with two fins on it or one fin on it, riding well and driving and surfing on its rail. It certainly made shapers think. Definitely made shapers think and concentrate and work hard on getting the best performance out of a board that doesn't have three fins on it. I think one thing in New Zealand is the old number 8 wire or whatever, or let's try this, that might work. But the big thing in New Zealand, which has had an effect on the surf industry, I think the knowledge and technology and understanding of exotic materials is the sailing and the boating industry. And America's Cup in particular put New Zealand on the map, but you have companies like Oracle coming to New Zealand and setting up in Wartworth, and they are at absolute cutting edge of all the new materials and techniques and methods and putting materials together and what they do and how you can achieve strength and weight, and companies like Gurit as well who support all that and carry all the materials. And even with our future light technology, when we first going there's epoxy boards that came out, there's got to be a better way of making them, moulding them, and And Steve Morris was working at Gura at the time, and like, hey, you know, what materials have you got? We want to try this, we want to try these things, and you know, us his opinion on it. And it was, yeah, and even now you talk to people in Australia, they're only just getting into epoxy stuff with technology, and even just the last couple of years. And they're just a million miles behind New Zealand and what we know and, you know, what we've tried. And but yeah, there's you got, yeah, like guys like Graham Allen, you know, from Supersession. He's still at Oracle, and you know, you come and talk to him and you just tell you all these incredible.
His board's still coming like 20 years later, you know,
and
he's still sweet.
Yeah, and he's still got, yeah, just the and the sailboard industry here was so strong, and what they did and their technology and their knowledge is, it's actually, yeah, it's way ahead. And the only other place that's got the knowledge that we have in New Zealand that will innovating in the same way as in Europe, and where they had no choice but build epoxy surfboards early on, and they just are stronger, lighter and better. But it's a big important factor for sure, the flex. It's just probably, you know, that's with all the change in materials and way things work, it's probably the single most important thing in using different materials is the flex pattern, and that it's flexing in the right way for just how a surfboard needs to work. It's not just the individual. It's like Tough Light was a good example. Just sandwich instruction, technically really, really good, but it just didn't flex. And it was, and epoxy boards got sort of tarred with a pretty bad sort of rap because of that. And most of the problems that were attributed to epoxy boards is in feeling like, they're catchy and they felt corky and they spun out and all that. It wasn't because they were more buoyant. It was most of the problems because they weren't flexing. And then I guess it took a little bit of, there's a bit of a hangover. The longboards were fine because they were big enough to flex and they weren't great, but there was a lot of misconceptions came out on what was going wrong with them. And that was the first challenge over the Future Light, was like, okay, we need to get the feel and the flex pattern and actually even the feel of the core and that when you're sitting and riding it as close to what people are used to, but as much of that as what it needs to be, not so much. Yeah, but flex patterns are critical for sure. It's probably that's where the new materials, if they come, like, that's with anything that comes out, it's going to be the biggest challenge. But things like carbon fibre is, and like in our Future Light carbon fibre rods, it's the simplest way to control it because it's so strong and it flexes and it's got a quick memory, so you can just add or take away carbon to control the flex in your board, so long as the other materials around it are strong enough to not for the wood and break it up. Yeah, so the future is bright. Like, technology is going in a really steep curve upwards, and it's going to come to surfing. It's a long time coming, and certainly in the next few years, what we know about our boards and how they go and how we build them and what we're going to put into them, there's no doubt. There's absolutely no doubt there's going to be big gains and big improvements. Yeah, well, that's all our insights and thinking on surfboards and board design. If you've got any questions or theories you want to share with us, put them in below.
Cheers.
I've been shaping for 35 years. Shaped my first surfboard when I was 16, or 15 even maybe, in the back shed. And I think everyone that shapes a surfboard or did it, the reason you tried it in the first place was you were trying to try something.
G'day, I'm Steve. I'm a shaper one of the shapers at Primal. Been shaping for about 25 years, but quite a bit of that time just for myself in the backyard, and I've been here for probably about 10, 12 years or something now. So just been getting into it since then, yeah.
When did you lose your tooth?
When I was 6 years old.
Really?
Yeah, so it finally came out, so get the new one next week, and then it just found out the other one comes out after that, so yeah, I'll be like this for another few months.
That's it.